Berbice, East Berbice, and of course right here on the Quarantine Coast. Welcome once again to another program of Issues in the News, where we discuss the topical and important matters that would have taken place in our country over the last week or so since we met. And as I normally say, we live in a very dynamic country, and every day we have new issues that are developing and which require our discussions. I just came from a meeting, a beautiful meeting that I had at Bushlot Village on the west coast of Berbice, where I discussed with the residents many important issues. I updated them on the state of the economy. I updated them on the SARA bill, because that is a matter that we must continue to discuss and we must continue to condemn. And I also discussed with them the issue of discrimination, which continues to raise its ugly head in our country. We have to understand that this is a land of 6 people. We have different history. We came from different parts of the world, and we came to this land. Our foreparents came to this land in search of a better life, and this country is ours. It belongs to all the people of this country, and we must resist and we must fight off every attempt to divide us and to discriminate against our people. Unfortunately, since this government has assumed power, we are seeing at the level of the government, at the highest level, institutional discrimination and institutional racism, and we must condemn that, because as Cherry Jagan said, since in 1964 I was reading an edition of the Thunder, he said that racism is the greatest sin of this country, and a person who preaches racism or practices racism is not only an enemy to himself, but is an enemy to his country. And we are witnessing an unprecedented level of racial discrimination taking place in our country, and political discrimination as well. And we have to reject that, because that will only cause our country to go backward. That will only result in stagnation, further stagnation. That will only result in our people being divided. And you know what they say, a house that is divided, or a people that are divided, will fall. And if we don't fight this racism, and if we don't fight this discrimination, then we are going to be consumed by it. As I said, I met with the people of Bushlot Village, and guess what they said to me? They said that the bus, the Granger number 1 or number 2 bus, whichever it is, that picks up school children on West Coast Berbice, is only picking up children from certain villages. The school bus is only picking up children from certain villages and are driving past other villages, leaving children standing on the road. How can you pass Bushlot, Bad Settlement, Cotton Tree, Rosignol, Blairmont, and go all the way to Ithaca to pick up school children? That is not right. It is discrimination. It is racism. And we have to speak about it. All of us, we have to speak about it. This country is too small and it is too integrated for racism to take place. When you harm one group of people, you are essentially harming yourself, because that is the nature of this country. When you harm one village, the harm that you are perpetrating against that village will eventually negatively affect your village. So closely knitted our economy is, so closely knitted our people are, so closely knitted our society is. And therefore, any form of discrimination affects all of us. I have seen a document coming from the government directed to the regional administration of regions number 5 and number 6. And this document identifies 4 sports grounds for developmental works, 2 in region 5 and 2 in region 6. The 2 in region 5 are Hopetown and Ithaca. Region 5 starts at Mahaika River. It starts on the eastern bank of the Mahaika River. That is where Region 5 starts. And it ends all the way at Ithaca. You have over 50 villages or communities in that region. And 2 grounds in that entire region of about 50 villages or more have been identified for developmental works. And those 2 grounds are located in 2 Afro-Guyanese villages. How can I stay quiet about that? How can a national leader, a member of parliament, how can anyone who believes in righteousness stay quiet in the face of such discrimination? Move across the river, the document says, in relation to Berbice, it identifies 2 other grounds, Kildonan and number 53 village. Out of about 150 communities in region 6, 2 grounds have been identified by this government for developmental works. Kildonan and number 53 village, 2 Afro-Guyanese villages. How can I stay quiet? How can you stay quiet in the face of such blatant discrimination? This is wrong, and every Guyanese must stand up and condemn this form of racism. You would have seen also the establishment of a public service college. The government has established a public service college, or a college for public service. This college is intended to train public servants before they enter the public service, or to give continuing training to public servants. And this college, it's called the Bertram Collins College. It's established in Georgetown, and every member of staff, I have a list of the staff, the names of the persons, all are Afro-Guyanese. From the principal to the driver, all are Afro-Guyanese. How can I stay quiet when that is taking place? I sued this government after it dismissed 2,000 Amerindians because they were perceived to be supporters of the PPP. 2,000 Amerindians dismissed one day. 2,000 Amerindians. I sued the government for that. Hundreds of Indo-Guyanese have been dismissed from the public service. I have sued about that as well. Dozens of Afro-Guyanese have been dismissed from the public service because they are perceived to be supporters of the PPP. Now, these are not politicians, these are clerks, secretaries, messengers, drivers, ordinary Guyanese who have a right and the constitutional freedom to vote for or support a political party of their choice. So even if they are in fact supporters of the PPP, the law says, the constitution says that they have a right and a freedom to do so. And they must not suffer any detriment as a result of their political support for a political party. Yet, without any evidence that these people are supporters of the PPP, they are dismissed because of a perception that they are members or supporters of the PPP. And even if they are, I am saying that they have a right to support a political party of their choice. Had we done that when we were in government over the past 25 years, what do you think would have happened in this country? Had we dismissed Afro-Guyanese the way that this government is dismissing Indo-Guyanese and dismissing Amerindians, were we dismissing Afro-Guyanese in that way, what would have happened in this country? When we went into the public, when we took office, the public service had about 95% Afro-Guyanese. When we left government after 25 years, they still have about 80% Afro-Guyanese. So from 95% Afro-Guyanese in 1992, when we left office, it still had 80% Afro-Guyanese. If we were discriminating, then we would have had to dismiss all. We would have had to dismiss the entire police force. We would have had to dismiss the entire army. But you don't govern a country that way. You don't discriminate against your own people. Check our housing policy. It's not based on ethnicity, but based upon want and needs of each particular individual. We start out where we said if you're married with children, you have the first priority. That's when the program started. And then as more and more people started to get house lots, the requirements changed. Where we now have a housing program for professional of all ethnicity. Go to Diamond housing scheme on the East Bank and you will see all Guyanese living there. Go to the professional scheme. You will see Afro-Guyanese lawyers, Afro-Guyanese doctors, Amerindian doctors, Indo-Guyanese, all professionals living or being allocated house lots in that scheme. If they can identify, anyone can identify one discriminatory policy of the PPP government, I'll be happy when I open the phone lines. Look at the development work that we did in Linden alone. When the bauxite industry, when we took office, Desmond Hoyt had said that we should close the bauxite industry. He was planning to close it in 1992. Had he won the 92 elections, the bauxite industry would have been closed. When Cherry Jagan took government in 92, Cherry Jagan said, we cannot close the bauxite industry. And he took money from sugar. He took money from the sugar industry to subsidize the bauxite industry so that the workers had a job. So that Linden was a community that had a job. Because 30,000 Afro-Guyanese or more would have been out of a job had we closed the Linden, the bauxite industry. We kept it alive for over 10 years until Bosai came and Rusal came. Not only did we keep the bauxite industry alive, but we subsidized the electricity for Linden. And when Bosai and Rusal came and they took over the two companies, one in Linden and one in Kakwani, they said that they're not going to pay the light bill, they're not going to take over the electricity. And the government, our government said, okay, we will continue to subsidize the electricity for Linden. And this is a community that did not vote for us, never voted for us. But that is what we did for Linden. We opened call centers in Linden. We launched 2 programs called LEAP and LEAF to give small entrepreneur capital to invest in small businesses. We shared out, for the first time in the history of this country, thousands of concessions, forestry concessions to small loggers, Afro-Guyanese loggers, from Linden, from Region 10. We took logging concessions from a company that Hoyt had given, a company called Yonamco from Malaysia. Millions and millions of acres or hectares of land. We took it from that company and we gave it to small loggers of Linden. And I can identify so many other initiatives that we did for Afro-Guyanese communities. Go to Buxton. During our years in government, Buxton always had the best roads for the whole of the East Coast. Buxton never voted for the PPP. We built back Tipperary Hall at a cost of $100 and something million. Never voted for the PPP, but that was never our concern. We built computer centers, youth initiative, and many Afro-Guyanese villages on the west coast of Berbice. I remember Belladrum being one. So we did these things not based upon race and ethnicity, but because the community needed these things. But that is not what is happening now. What is happening now is blatant racism taking place. And Ramjatan and Nagamutu themselves are victims of the racism that is taking place. So they can't even speak. The AFC is a political party in the coalition, has 7 ministers in the government. 7 ministers, only 2 are Indo-Guyanese. Out of 7, only 2 are Indo-Guyanese, although they got more votes from Indo-Guyanese than any other ethnic grouping in this country. That is not by coincidence. That is not by coincidence. Only Ramjatan and Nagamutu are the only 2 Indo-Guyanese out of 7 ministers that the coalition government has, that the AFC has in the coalition. Out of 7, only 2 are Indo-Guyanese. Not even 50%. Although they got most of their votes from the Indo-Guyanese of Region 6 and Region 5. Ramaiah said that the other day. Ramaiah himself said that the other day. So, I say that to you so that you understand the mindset of this government. Ethnicity and race plays an important part in government policies, unfortunately. And we have to make this public, and we have to discuss this as a people, because it is wrong. It is wrong on every front. On every front. So that is what I want to say on racism. I want to come back though to talk about some other issues in the economy. The government is refusing to pay public servants an acceptable wage. When we were in government, we paid annually 5% increase across the board, retroactive to January of the year. So if we paid it in October, it went back to January. If we paid it in December, it went back to January. So the worker got a back pay of a sizable amount. I want to take an opportunity here to welcome my comrade and colleague, Comrade Darren Kumar Siraj. He's a little late, but he's joining us, and you know, he always has a significant contribution to make to this program. So, as you know, Comrade Siraj is no stranger, has been with us on several programs. He is the General Secretary of the Rice Producers Association and a Member of Parliament, as well as an executive member of the People's Progressive Party. Welcome, Siraj.
Thank you very much. I was on the quarantine coast, and you know, almost this entire region is in blackout right now.
Oh, I came from that end.
Yeah, the whole end from Skeldon all the way coming to just about Tain is in blackout.
Diamond on the East Bank has been without water for 3 weeks. Right now, from Turkine all the way to Better Hope, you're talking about over 6 communities, 6 villages are without potable water right now. And we are getting blackouts right across the board. We are going back, Siraj, so quickly to those days.
You know, some of the farmers at my meeting at 52 Village asked me to tell you that they regret they won't be able to see your program. One young farmer said that he looks forward every Tuesday evening to this program. He said, unfortunately, he asked me if I, as Member of Parliament, can make a call so that they could get power. I said, I don't know, I will ask you when I get here. But it's, I don't know if it's deliberate, but that entire area is without power right now.
Well, I had predicted that we are going back. If this coalition ever took government, we are going to go back to the days of boredom. Well, we discussed only last week, or a week, 2 weeks ago, the leader of the PNC, the president himself, recommitting his party to Boredomism and the ideals of boredom. Boredomism is synonymous with blackout and
no water.
No water. So the man committed himself to that, so the man is delivering. But I was at the point when you came in, Siraj. I was discussing the reluctance of the government to pay an acceptable wage to the public servants. And I was explaining that when we were in government, we paid 5% minimum across the board, and we made it retroactive. But in addition to that, every year in our budget, we used to lower the tax burden. Every year, we amend the law to exempt more people from paying taxes. So while you're getting a 5% increase, you have to add to that a lowering of your tax burden. Then we had a wave of social programs, all intended to benefit the poorer class. So we subsidized water and electricity. We had a school feeding program, a uniform voucher program for the children, and we also had, at the later stages, a cash grant. Right. All intended to supplement the income of the public servant or the lowest paid in our country. What this government is doing is that it is paying a percentage, let us say 10%, but it is doing it incrementally based upon your salary. So the lowest gets the 10%, and that is how they do it. So by the time, first of all, let us say you have 15,000 public servants, only about 500 of them will benefit from 10% increase, because only they are in that bracket that will get that increase.
Higher income.
The lowest income.
Right, that's
right. The lowest income. Now, as you go, let us say the larger bulk will be in the middle. The middle where I think you call them grade 2 or something like that. So that will be about, let us say about 5,000 will be in that middle. They will get less than 5%. And
between 3 and 5.
Between 3 and 5, and not retroactive, right? And then the rest will get about 2%, thereabouts. So it is incrementally done. So when they say they're paying 10%, there's only about 500 out of 3,000 getting that 10%. The rest are getting below 5%, and it is not retroactive. But most importantly, the tax burden has become far greater than it ever was in this country because of the number of taxes and licenses fees that they have increased, 140 of them. The bottom line is, it all goes back upon the back of the worker, because he has to pay, because his disposable income becomes smaller and smaller every year.
And remember the great deception that they pronounced on the public servant last year, when they only give retroactive to half of the year.
And yes, that's what I'm saying. This year they're not even saying anything about retroactive.
That's right.
Right? Last year they gave a couple months retroactive. But significantly, this Minister of Business, Gaskin, Dominic Gaskin.
That's Barnum's Granger's son-in-law.
Yes, who happens to be the President's son-in-law.
Right.
As Van Charles was Barnum's son-in-law. I mean, these things are so strange. It's like deja vu. It's like you're having a dream and these things coming back. The President has a son-in-law in the government. The same way that Barnum had his son-in-law, Van Charles, in the government. Who, by the way, is back. You would thought that these fellows would go away or would die or something. But these fellows, after 30 years, they're back.
Yeah.
But Gaskin, in order to defend the government's refusal to pay the increase in public servants, has made one of the most outrageous statements I have heard in recent times. The man said that Guyanese workers are paid higher than most developing countries. When we know, even while we were in government, we never said that our workers were being paid high. We always said that our workers were paid low, but it is what we can afford.
And they deserve more.
And they deserve more, but this is what we can afford.
But Gaskin was part of the same gang that campaigned and said that the workers need a livable wage.
That's correct. In fact, Gaskin, Ramjatan, Nagamoto, et al. Were campaigning and saying that the PBP was paying starvation wages.
That's right.
Now they are in government. These very starvation wages have now become as high as other developing countries. Now, the only people who are getting wages that are compared or comparable with developed countries is Gaskin and the other members of the cabinet. Because they got a 50% retroactive increase. 50%. And now they are squeezing and refusing to pay the workers less than 10%.
Incidentally, they used to say that our minister's salary was super salary.
Yes,
Fat cat salaries is Moses' favorite term.
Yes.
And the workers were starvation wages. So one would have thought that they would have given the workers 50% and they would have taken none because they were getting fat cats. They did the reverse.
I have said, and I will always say, that whenever contemporary post-independence politics of the Caribbean is objectively written, this coalition will go down as pulling off the biggest fraud and scam on a population. These people lied about every single thing.
And they lied to every single component of our society.
and people believe them.
There we are.
Imagine they made a promise as ridiculous as $9,000 a bag for paddy,
Yes.
and told the sugar workers you will get 25%. Nagamutu went to the other line, Adam Estates, and said 25% you will get increase. Today the workers holding on for dear life. 2,000 gone from Wales already.
They got nothing in 2015.
Nothing in 2015. Nothing in 2016. In 2015 they did not even get their API.
Imagine.
And we don't know what is the future of them now. And I can't believe the level of lies that
But what you said is so true. Now that I'm thinking about it, they lied about everything, and they lied to every single person.
every single
The young, the old, the working, the not working, the professional, the non-professional, the farmers, the workers.
Look, they got to UG,
Mm,
and they're telling UG students they got built over a university. They're telling UG students they will find jobs for all of them. Today, they're locking up the UG students who are paying loans. Not a zinc sheet change from any university. They're locking you up, blacklisting at the airport. If I didn't raise my voice and we in the PVP didn't raise our voices and point out to them that they are acting illegally, they would have already blacklisted students at the airport. And we just said plainly, the president, the government business not to create jobs. Go and find jobs out there. And so that's what they told the university and the youths. And we already dealt with what they told the sugar workers and the rice farmers.
That's
They
right.
told the public servants 25% increase. They told the policemen, the policemen who are listening to me, and the armed forces, they promised them 25% increase and a whole host of benefits. Where it is now.
Nothing.
They promised a procurement commission. They said within 100 days we will have the procurement commission. 500 or 600 days have passed. The parliament completed the process of sending the names to the president. In fact, the prime minister took a photo opportunity
That's
of
right.
carrying the motion with the names of the people and handing it to the president. And I got in the newspaper because of that. Just handing it. Because that's all he does. Getting a clip with a camera nowadays. And up to now, the procurement commission can be installed. And look at what's happening. I wrote about this week, the Topco juice.
Oh, what a travesty.
Now, I don't hold no brief, Siraj, for DDL. DDL is a multinational company. But who I care for and who I speak for are the workers, about 200 of them, employed by Topco, and the 2,000 or more farmers living right across the length and breadth of this country, whose guava, cherry, soury, five-finger, passion fruit, pine, banana are purchased from DDL to make this juice. They take away this contract from a large company like DDL and hand it to a Suriname company, their friend. If you look at how many of them driving Kia cars, this is the company that are selling the Kia cars. They got Kia cars during the elections campaign and they made promises. The first thing that they did was to repay the judgment of $1.2 billion that this company got against Guyana and the CCJ that they caused to happen because they refused to support our amendment in the parliament. And then they hurriedly paid this judgment when I told them that we have legal basis not to pay the judgment, that these people undervalue their goods and bring it into the country.
And they themselves said that.
And they themselves said that in
That's
the
right.
case.
Right.
And I said that we should audit these people. And if we audit them from 2007 that they have come here, and they claim that they undervalue, from that time to then, now, they would have owed us 10 times more than the judgment. So I said to this government, the opposition leader made me explain to Basil Williams
Oh Lord.
This whole story. And I said, don't pay. They can't do you anything. Let us audit and they will end up owing us. No. They took one bag money and they gave those people 1.2 billion, 600 million US dollars. That money could have paid, give this public servants a 50% increase. They gave that to a Suriname company. The Topco contract is a $500 million a month contract that they just give away to this Suriname company. Again, they are friends. They don't care how many jobs are lost in this country. They already said that they're not creating jobs. Now they are taking away jobs. You see what happened to Barama?
Yes.
187 people were dismissed from Barama because this government did not renew Barama license on time to export logs. As a result, Barama lost a host of international markets and they had to lay off 187 families. So you got 2,000 Amerindians dismissed, hundreds of Indo-Guyanese dismissed from the public servants and Afro-Guyanese, 2,000 workers from Wales, another 2,000 farmers without contract for their market for their produce because of this Topco, 187 at Barama. I don't know how many rice farmers are off the land now because they can't get a market.
Well, in Region 6 alone, they didn't plant 24,000 acres of rice.
That they would have.
half. From last season to now, they didn't plant.
So 50% of the land.
Yes, almost 50%.
Almost 50% of the land not under cultivation. 50% that was cultivated last year. Yet the president walks around and says, I don't have to create jobs. You have to create jobs yourself. And when you try to create jobs, the government takes away from you the opportunity.
They had huge slogans throughout the country. It is time for jobs.
Yes.
It is time for jobs. But did they explain why they gave this huge contract to this Suriname company?
First of all, I'm glad you asked me that question. It gives me an opportunity to explain to the viewers.
Yes.
First of all, what they did what is called restrictive tendering. Restrictive tendering is akin to or similar to pre-qualification. What that means is that they invite 3 companies to bid. And Samakal, Rudisa and DDL. They invited the 3 companies to bid. When you invite companies to bid, it means that you have already pre-qualified them. That in your mind, you have assessed their product and it is up to standard.
Right. So that's why no rice farmer was invited.
Maybe.
Because he can't produce juice.
That's correct.
So they invited who could produce.
That's correct.
Right.
And so they pre-qualify these people. Once they pre-qualify them, it means that they are satisfied that these people's standards are okay.
That's right.
When you pre-qualify them, almost the only determinant after that is price.
Okay.
DDL came in the lowest. The lowest. In fact,
A local company came in the lowest.
the lowest. This company come in third, last. It had the highest bid. And this company get the contract. The reason given was that they had some problems with Topco's, DDL's past performance.
Well, if they had that problem,
why did you invite them?
Why did you invite them? Yes.
That's correct. Now what I learned subsequently is that DDL is a beverage giant in this part of the world.
That's right.
They are licensed under PepsiCo, which is one of the largest beverage company along with Coca-Cola in the world.
Yeah, that's international.
International. DDL produces for PepsiCo, Pepsi and Gatorade under licenses. It means that DDL standards are beyond question.
It's international.
It's international. It's certified to produce product for any part of the world, except their own country now. Right?
Under this government.
Rudisa, I am told, used to be certified by PepsiCo to produce Pepsi. And recently, PepsiCo knocked them off because of falling standards. And they are now buying Pepsi from DDL. Right? They can't produce it themselves because PepsiCo tell them that the standards are not high enough. So they are buying Pepsi from DDL. But the Guyana government finds that their standards are okay. But DDL standards are not okay. So
The
it's
Guyana government find favor with a foreign company and knock out a local company,
Right.
thus affecting this 200
that.
plus workers
Although-
plus thousands of farmers.
Although PepsiCo says
Mm.
that DDL standards are okay, but Rudisa is not. Right? So it's corruption. It's
Definitely.
nothing short of
And it's
raw,
Yes,
naked corruption.
unpatriotic. It's not nationalist, and they talk big about these things. They talk glowingly about patriotism and nationalism and development of our people, and they do the exact opposite. From the president right now, they do the exact opposite.
I see the man Gaskin, he should not speak. Somebody should talk to this guy and say, listen,
That's Dominique Gaskin.
Dominic Gaskin, you should not be speaking at all. The man said, first of all, and we must thank him, he admitted publicly that there has not been any new investment since this government took office. Right?
That's right.
I think he must get a lot of blows for that internally. But he made that admission. But he said that is so because of instability. Now, you and I know what instability is in Guyana. Instability was caused, or is normally caused, by PNC. When they burn, when they loot, when they beat people on the streets, when they march, when they burn roads and block roads, that is the instability that affected us economically in this country. After the 92 elections, the 97 elections, and the 2001 elections. That is the kind of instability that we had to deal with. What is the instability now? What is this guy talking about?
Now it's economic instability. They
The
have no plan, they don't have no
The
vision.
instability is them.
Yeah, exactly. It's the government.
It is the unstable policies of the government.
Yeah.
I don't know of any other instability in the country.
And every one of them speaks different about any single subject.
I don't think that they speak to each other. That's the first thing. Certainly Ramjatan and Basil Williams do not speak. Because every time they speak on Soku, they say something different. And Harman comes like an umpire and try to patch, try to bring the two differences. And then he normally would blame me. He says, Anil Nadla spreading his
Formal age.
Yeah, the formal age. And then you have the finance minister.
Well, that's Basil's favorite line. Too.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
wasn't me.
Yeah, it wasn't me, he's the former AG in the previous administration. Then you have the finance minister gloating that the economy is doing well and we are experiencing growth. And then the business minister say, you know what, we don't have no investment over here.
Oh, incidentally, you should also talk about this matter with the airport expansion project, where Gaskin is joined Basil Williams in blaming the previous government, the PDP government, for the contract of allowing the company to bring stone from Suriname. They amended the whole but then blame the PPP for it.
We are out of government 16 months.
Yes.
They went into government. They put the contract on hold. They renegotiated
Right.
a new contract which reduced the size of the airport incidentally but increased the price. So we're getting a smaller airport for a larger price. That is the legacy of their negotiations. Now when the contractor brings stone from Suriname, we get blamed.
Yes. Oh my God.
Anyhow, let us go to the phone, Siraj. It has been going.
Yes, yes.
Caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Mr. Nalala. Good night to you, sir.
Good night.
Sir, Siraj.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from West Coast, Barbie.
Okay, what village?
Bad settlement.
Bad Settlement. All right.
Correct. I just want to, wonderful program, and I hope that you continue with this, and I want to see the right man more often, because Region 5 and 6 is right place. You got to be on the program more often.
Yeah, I invite him all the time. The man don't come.
I just want to touch on the DDL matter.
Yes.
The DDL matter is a very simple matter. The simple meaning that the write-off that they had given DDL,
Yes.
the man didn't give back the right quota, the right amount.
Oh.
So you got a cut for that.
Yeah.
The
Well,
second thing with DDL in regards to why they take the Suriname company as in a higher standard is because, simple again, is because they use their standard, that they don't have standard. So they use their standard in measuring DDL as against the Suriname company. So because they don't know anything about standard, this is you don't see my target to blow eagle.
now you hope them blow. Alright, caller, thank you very much.
But that's an interesting point. That the write-off that they received, they didn't give back the right amount.
Yes, they didn't do the kickback.
Yeah, so they're being punished now for that.
Well, I said in my article this week that Uncle Isu, you know, he endorsed the coalition.
Yeah, that's
Right?
right.
All of them I get kicked one by one. Ramaya get kicked last week. Neutram get slapped
4 times.
The week before, Yusuf Pasal get his here this weekend. And I said that Uncle Isu I have great respect for Uncle Isu. Let me say that. I don't want to convey any form of disrespect to a man that I consider to be a stalwart and a patriot. But he made a wrong political choice when he endorsed the coalition. Ramjatan and Tratman said publicly that those who give us donations have made political investments for which they have to be rewarded. Remember that statement?
That's right, that's right.
So Isu got his reward when he got his tax write-off.
Right.
So you got to step aside now. There are other people that got to get
Other
reward
people
too.
in the line.
Right.
Other people in the line.
So it's a queue, it's a line.
Rudisa next
So
in
this
line.
is Rudisa turn. Rudisa can
They give a fleet of
right.
Kia SUVs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They give some vehicles so that they got to get write-off too. They got to get their
And contracts.
rewards.
Yeah.
So, Uncle Isu got to understand that. That's what I said in my article. Caller, you're on the air.
Good night, gentlemen.
Good night.
Good night.
Mr. Nangal, I only want to make one comment. You see, Alan Job, last is what we got. You remember when Uncle Kemraj, when I said collateral damage?
Yeah.
Right, it's collateral damage we having right now.
No, this is not collateral, it's a direct. Collateral means
You're in
consequential,
Right.
right? This is direct losses.
It's
The
direct blows.
The collateral damage here can be starvation.
You're in the line of fire here.
You understand?
Thank you, yeah, very much.
I was speaking to the chairman of a bank, the largest bank in the country, and he was telling me that they are not getting any applications for new loans. All they're dealing with is readjusting people's loans and
Rescheduling.
rescheduling, writing off interest, and calling in people, recalling loans, calling in loans, and selling people's property. Calling on the air.
Yeah, Mr. Nangal, good night. Mr. Seward, good night.
Yes, where you calling from?
19.
19?
Mr. Nangal, when I do a calculation with this 1.7 million on Nagamutuga, I calculate 94 here by 18,200. If I do pension, I got to wait 94 here before they can get 1,10,800. And Nagamutuga in 12 months, $20 million. $20 million you getting when you calculate $1.7 million.
Okay, so for a year.
Yeah, and a pension have to wait 94 years before you get 1.7 million.
And this is the man who came to you,
This is the man.
who came to the people of Barbies.
The truth, when you throw your rod, he's the man of Jesus Christ. Him. He's the Moses, but he's not the Moses.
He said he parted the Red Sea.
Moses came, Moses when God said.
Alright, caller. Well, as I said, the people, you have to give credit sometimes, even if it is a bad or a wrong. The people pull off a stunt that is amazing. They just say simply fooled people. Simply fooled people. Left, right and center. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi, good night, sir.
Good night. Where are you calling from?
I'm from Kilkai.
Kilkai.
I must compliment you two gentlemen for a great job.
Thank you.
I want to just make a 2-point video. In Bobby's here, right? I'm a PPP supporter. I'm not afraid to talk. In Bobby's here, is right here we lose the election. In Bobby's here. Right? That is one. And number two is that when PPP wins, Bondong, all kind of things happen. And APNU coalition wins, nothing happens easy. That's all.
All right, caller. Thank you.
Now
Yes, Raj.
Yeah, that's an interesting. Again, you see callers, they have realized, and you made a point earlier, in the elections that we have won, that you had the instability.
Yeah. Caller, you're on the air. I want you to give us an update on where we are with this DNI charges at MMA.
Yeah, that for the, well, this will affect mostly Region 5 and Region 6 persons. I understand that a number of persons, incidentally, I heard you when I was coming in, you were talking about racial discrimination, racial and political discrimination, and talking about the composition of various boards and so on.
Yes.
Now, anyone in this country will tell you that rice cultivation, the rice industry got about 90% of Indians employed in it, right? And we have some very good Afro-Guyanese who are farmers and all of that. The composition of the MMA board of directors, you have one Indian. And he's there by virtue of him being the regional chairman.
Oh, Jesus.
He's by there because he's the regional chairman.
How many? How many?
I think there are about 13 of them. So you have one of them who representing an industry that is dominated.
All right. When we were in government,
Yes.
how many Afro-Guyanese we had in the board?
You had about 4 or 5 of them. Technical background, the general manager and all of that. So
All right. We'll take this last call. I'll call you in the air. Good night. Quickly. We have been given a signal.
I want to ask one question. These police is here. If you have a little robbery story, does it have to go to DPP before you could get justice?
It depends. It depends, madam.
Like, in what way? Here what happened. I have my nephew, right? There were 2 girls that were looking for...
No, the story too long. We can't. Sorry.
okay, call us off.
Yeah, you can call me after the program, right? I have to go now. Sorry, caller. And the story was too long for me to take. Siraj, I want to thank you very much for being part of the program again.
Well, as usual, I'm happy to be here when I'm involved.
Though you came late and your fans out there must have been disappointed. They only got half of you this evening. I want to say thank you very much to all the callers who have contributed this evening, and to all the viewers out there. Good evening and have a great week, and join me next week again as we continue to discuss important issues in the news. Thank you and good night. Take care.